Hello and welcome everyone to episode 156 of One Piece at a Time, the One Piece read-through podcast where we read and discuss 5 chapters of the One Piece manga each and every week. I'm your host, Derrick and I'm joined by my wonderful co-host and freelance letterer at Shonen Jump, Brandon Bovia. How you doing, Brandon?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm, of course, Brandon Bovia, letterer of manga like Dragon Ball Super, Kaiju 8, many more, and man, we are on our 3rd session for Dressrosa, and it feels like it's starting to deliver. It was already delivering. This is just one of those sets that just kind of has a little bit of everything. This
is the set where the shoe drops. That's the best way to put it.
It really does. It really does.
I thought, I have a feeling of how this is going to go for the next, for a little bit here, and then Oda just upends a table on me. I'm like, what the hell?
Yep.
What the hell?
Yeah, which, I mean, it's almost perfect in that way, right? Because last week was almost all of just the tournament, and we had one chapter, with the Green Bit crew. Mm-hmm. And now is just those 4 other plot lines that were running that we just kind of set aside. What if we just did all of them at the same time?
I thought it was going to be okay, we're going to do a little bit of Luffy, and now we're going to do a little bit of this, and then just get a little bit of each as time goes on, stuff and all that. But no, Oda's bringing it all together way sooner than that but still keeping everybody apart, but still everybody realizing they have to get together, which, man, there's some wild things going on there.
There's some good reveals in this set. I was kicking my feet. I was giggling. I'm giddy.
There is one very obvious one where I basically immediately went to you, was like, what the?
Yes, I knew it was coming. It's just all right, here it is, and it's we'll get to it, but definitely you can. It all clicks into place, learning some new pieces of information this week.
No kidding.
Really makes some things click.
I'm excited for it. So let's just get to it with chapter 711, Adventure in the Land of the Little People, where this machine thing comes after Caribou and the old woman, and the old woman gets blasted aside by this giant straw man looking thing.
Grandma, no!
So I actually, thanks to some comments, us talking about this section of Caribou, one person actually did clarify something that I completely forgot and didn't realize about this. So this is not the first time we've seen this island.
Oh,
this is
really?
Actually, yes, according to them, this is the same island that Drake went to in those little bits, showing how the supernovas were doing in the new world.
Oh, the one where he was like, I'm looking for Kaido or something like that, basically.
Yes, he met he met a scarecrow looking guy from this set who told him the island was part of Kaido's territories.
Oh my god.
And the scarecrow looking guy is the one attacking Grandma.
Holy crap.
So thank you for that, because boy, that adds a little extra context. What it actually means, hard to tell, but it's funny to see that connection.
This is Kaido territory, which really has me thinking the ways in which this is kind of like a war-torn town in the middle of the revolution. Somebody's getting weapons from Doflamingo, I think.
Mm-hmm. Or something to that degree, and somebody else is putting it down. Something's going on here. Will we get an explanation for it? Probably not.
But what a cool way to bring that up. I never would have thought of that.
No.
Man, see,
completely
I love
slipped my
One Piece.
mind. It's just. It seems Caribou keeps stumbling into more interesting things than himself.
Yeah. I'm kind of really down for this cover story at this point, though. I'm along for the ride. I need to see where this goes.
Yeah. I will say the pacing seems a little slow on this set, but we'll get it's fine. For now, though, let's get into the chapter itself with Oda's barely disguised fetish.
Yeah, I was gonna say this is one of the horniest 2 pages.
Good
I think
God.
In the entire manga. It certainly threw me for a loop the first time, and I was like, oh right, that's how we get introduced to our little people here.
Yeah, so it's all black at first. It's like, okay, what's in the bag? Spare books, notes, spare outfit, snail transponder. Okay, what's under her clothes? We're on a search. Okay, make sure you take any weapons. Region C all clear. Region A all clear. Region B doesn't seem to be hiding anything. And that's this little guy is coming out from underneath her shirt where her breasts are.
Yep.
And then you get the full reveal of, yep, she is pinned down, like sewn down into the ground, Lilliputian style, as all these little people just crawl all over and are going through her stuff.
I don't want to dwell on this. It's kind of uncomfortable. Played for laughs, kind of uncomfortable.
Yeah, a little bit. It's I'm not used to seeing Robin in this position.
Yeah, it's odd.
It's more of a Nami thing.
Like, yeah, and it's like, I think because, as we're about to see here, you flip the page and, we meet this little fella on Robin's chest, Leo the Warrior, and he's just like, don't try to escape. All of these little guys speak with just
those lisps.
Most adorable. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and so, of course, they're, for lack of a better word, probing Robin, assuming that, she's a bad big person.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's not perverted on their part. It is purely it is purely for the reader.
This is Oda. This is all Oda. Like I think that's what it is, right? Because obviously they have no sort of like underhanded intentions with this. This is purely an investigation, but it's just framed in the kind of skeeviest way possible.
Well, it kind of reveals that dress of Robin's is, when you see it from certain angles, it feels more like a nightgown.
Yeah.
Especially now she's lost the hat and glasses, so it just kind of loses that effect. But one of them mentions that this person uses sorcery. We saw a giant hand sprout from the ground, leaving no time to escape. And we get a little flashback about what's going on, where she did catch this guy, and it's like, oh, it's did you remove the sailor's clothes? And Usopp's coming in. It's like, did you say little people? And that's when they got hit by this Twinkler-Lily, which is a good name.
Yes, I almost thought it was Usopp doing an attack at some point, since he's
got his plant-based stuff now.
Yeah, no, but they've both been drugged.
The great thing about this, though, is that she's smart about this. She could easily use her powers to get out of this, because they have no idea, and her powers specifically allow her to just do this. She instead takes the time to get information out of them.
Yes.
Okay, are we underneath Greenbit? And he's like, yes, under the Great Forest, our people have grown. There's no... I'm starting to be reminded of that one Yu-Gi-Oh! Bridge villain where he basically had the same lisp.
Oh, yeah.
There's no plant in the whole wide world we cannot tend. You've trespassed into our land, the kingdom of Tontota.
Yes. Apparently they've got I guess it's a devil fruit. They've got the so-so powers.
Yeah, the so-so fruit, which I guess that explains, it's like, man, did they sew into her arm? But theoretically, but I guess in a non-painful way, it's weird. But anyone who sees the Tontatas cannot be allowed to leave. And she's just like, oh, please, forgive me. It was only curiosity that led me to act. It's like, I never meant to harm any of you, and I won't tell anyone what I saw. Liar! I won't fall for that excuse. It's true. Really? Okay, then. That's a relief.
Yeah. And she's just completely shocked. And I love, of course, they have at first she's just like, oh, he's so gullible. And then, you have Chief Tonta comes in. It's like, turns out she's a good guy. That can't be true, but she says so. Huh? Well, okay then. And she's just, that shocked look on her face.
You've never seen Robin this shocked. It's amazing.
Yes, it is. It is so good. And of course, my first thought immediately, and we'll come to this in a little bit, was just, you have the only other Straw Hat here is Usopp. We're suddenly introduced to a bunch of characters who are incredibly gullible, and I immediately went, oh no.
Oh, it's exactly what you think.
Yep.
But it's nearly 3:00. She has to get in contact with Law. They're giving her stuff back. So, okay, we need my transponder snail. And I love this little thing. I was like, oh, we turned it wild again. That's amazing.
Well, okay. Yep. I like these little guys.
Yeah, the fact that they were they're so good at tending to nature, and they just that snail looks so happy. They're like, good for him. But they have a rule. If you're a good guy, you got to give us a weapon. If you don't, we got to skin you all your clothes. But I don't have a weapon. Then we don't have no choice. Time to strip you. Take it all. And
which is just wait, if it weren't for that scene in the last chapter where we had already seen the Navy men down to their skivvies, I would have been like, okay, all right, Oda. And I still feel that way to some extent, but at least there's a reason for this. There's consistency here.
Yeah, But thankfully, she's saved because this big person is the hero's partner. What do you mean? The other big person we caught is actually the legendary hero who came to help us. That's awesome. That's incredible. And that's when she immediately realizes, what kind of story did you feed them, Usopp?
Oh no.
This is some of the most emotion we've seen out of Robin in a long time.
It really, really is. Like it just, I mean, there's sort of genuine shock and surprise. There's sort of that. I mean, I feel like as we've kind of learned, kind of established back in Punk Hazard, like she really does have an attachment to cute things in their own weird way.
The other thing is, though, she typically knows a lot about stuff. This is stuff that's completely foreign to her, so she get to see her actually react to stuff she does not know.
Yeah, that there was this whole just kind of basically we have a whole new race of people,
Yeah, which is just kind of cool. We then move over to Zoro, who is getting instructions and, of course, failing them because he cannot follow directions to save his life. We got to make it back in time. It's all your fault. So just take me to the flower field. And that's when we see that, yep, the fairy that took his sword was indeed one of the little people. Mm-hmm. And he spots it. We see this Wicca here. And Zoro catches him. It's like, he's just like, oh, I'm such a klutz. I'm a clown. I'm a clumsy oaf. I knew it would happen someday. Is this what the fairies are? More toys? It's like, no, I'm a tontata. You got to keep a secret that you saw me. And then he just like, oh, I can't walk. I think I just sprained my ankle. And he starts going, stupid, 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 where he's pounding the ground. He's cracking the ground.
Which I think is sort of fun, sort of foreshadowing an establishment for something we'll learn a little bit later in the set. But yeah, no, they're strong.
We kind of saw how strong they were when they took down one of those fighting fish. So
yeah. So I kind of love this. Sort of through this gag where like, oh, that's not good.
They're naive and extremely strong. They're ants. They are literal ants.
yeah, very much so. Okay, I'm just that's too much power to put in Usopp's hands.
This Wicked begs Zoro, you got to take me back to the captain. When you think about it, it's all your fault. You stole my sword. Now, we're keepers of the green here. The big people of this island call us fairies and give us lots of stuff. And I'm in a hurry. I'm on the recon team. I got to report that the Don Quixote family locations to the captain. This is our big chance. I saw the family attacking the Straw Hat Crew's ship, and that immediately gets Zoro's attention.
Yeah. Yeah. And then, of course, Wicca just goes back to panicking. And Zoro's like, hey, hold on. I'm part of the crew. Like, hold up.
Yeah. It's like, stop destroying everything. I got to get back to the Sunny. And he's like, oh, God, they're going after those four. And they're like, wait, take me to the flower fields first, and then I'll show you the way to the coast. It's like, no, I'm going straight for the ship. But that's the opposite way. You don't know where you're going. It's like, crap, he's right.
Yep, here we go. It feels like Zoro got on his own just so that he could fail to follow directions.
Forced him to go the right direction thanks to Wicca here.
Yeah. I don't exactly remember where this part of the subplot is going, but it feels like we're just gonna have Zoro show up at the right place at the right time.
That's typically what we do with him. He somehow bumbles his way into the right place.
Yes.
But yeah, turns out the Doflamingo family has been monitoring their activity the entire time. And then the Tontatas have actually been monitoring them. So they're like, oh, you guys have beef with the Doflamingo too? Yes, but that's a secret. So It's not just the ship that's in trouble. Everyone's in trouble. And Zoro doesn't have a snail, so they can't send a warning.
Yeah. It really, I mean, this is sort of our first indication of there's kind of on both sides, right? And I guess it's good timing too, since we're about to cut back to the Coliseum with Rebecca and the toy soldier. But there's a lot more going on under the surface, and here in Dressrosa, it seems.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of people not be fans of Doflamingo, and obviously, it's easy to see why.
I guess it seems like they are fringe, right?
Right.
Most
people are.
Yeah. Most people are happy here. So it definitely gets you gets the mind wandering.
Yeah. And we go back to the Coliseum and not focusing on Luffy. Block C is getting ready to go. They're wondering who's going to take it, but we instead focus on Rebecca, who goes to a set of bars and sees a flower petal there, and she's just sort of looking at it absently when she sees this little girl chasing after a toy monkey. And that's when she sees Frankie and the one-legged toy soldier go by. And because turns out Frankie's also heading for the flower field. So somehow the soldiers and the little people have a connection, it seems.
Yeah, at least somewhat.
Or there's some sort of a meeting point, because the flower field is strangely important.
Yes.
Because we do not see what that is at this point. I'm curious.
Yeah.
Frankie's got to keep moving and don't let the police spot you. But that's when Rebecca spots the toy soldier. She sees both of them. She calls out to the toy soldier. And the toy soldier's like, Rebecca. And she's kind of crying all of us.
Yeah, this is a very kind of randomly very dramatic scene happening here.
I saw the entry list in this Coliseum. You enter the fight after I told you not to. It's like, I don't care. I'm going to fight and win. And then when it's over, we can live together. It's like, oh, she's in... I immediately took this as she's in love with Toy Soldier.
Right. Clearly, I mean, she's crying, man. Like, there's something happening here.
She wants to be with him.
Yeah, and that the Toy Soldier at least has enough of a, like, looks out for her to the point that, that he doesn't want her to, enter the tournament. And Frankie's like, like, are you sure? It's just like, we have to hurry. Even a toy must protect that which is dear to it, even if these tin eyes can no longer shed tears of their own. Which, that is an interesting line.
That's crazy dramatic all of a sudden. Like, what the world is going on? Okay, did people get transformed into these toys? Which... maybe, considering what happens a little bit later. I never put that connection together, but maybe. I'll bring that up when we get to that, and that's I think that's the last chapter of the set, so it's a little ways to go yet. But we go back to Greenbit, where there's only 2 minutes until the Caesar handoff, and that's when Law gets contacted by Sanji, and they're like, "Have you found the factory?" He's like, "No, we've got bigger problems. You need to evacuate pronto." What are you talking about? We're just about to hand over Caesar. Doflamingo never quit the 7 warlords. There's nothing we're getting for handing over Caesar. The whole thing's a setup. What do you mean? He's like, no, I'll explain later. Just get the hell off that island. And here comes Doflamingo. Here comes Fujitora. And it's too late.
Yep. Well, just that's a nice little hook to lead into the next chapter. But yeah, I mean, it was never going to be that easy, right?
No. I was wondering what the complication was going to be, but I did not expect it to be that he never left.
Yeah, and that certainly explains why the town has been just kind of carrying on as normal.
Yeah, which we do get an explanation for that as well. It's like, oh wow, that's something. Yeah. It's funny because, again, we're getting some ad stuff at the end here, right before we go to the next chapter on the Viz app. And they got advertisements for, the beginnings of Black Clover, which premiered in 2015 in the U.S. And we got My Hero Academia, which premiered in 2014 in the U.S. It's like, yeah, wow, just My Hero's over now. And it's like, I don't know what's going on with Black Clover.
I think Black Clover is like quarterly now or something like that. I think it's close to ending.
Oh, wow.
It's on a very, very slow schedule.
It's amazing how long.
Yeah, that's wild to think. It's a little bit of a time capsule.
Yeah, how much has One Piece outlasted?
Yeah, definitely. That's wild when you think about it. We're still about like 10 years behind.
Enough time that My Hero is over.
Yes.
All right, let's get to chapter 712 as things are going to crap.
Yep.
With Violet. And this is a cute exchange. The grandmother's going, "Run, Gaburu." All right. Bye.
It's time to skedaddle.
Which did give me a laugh. Yes. He has no connection to this woman. He's just going.
Things are on fire. She's trying to take on this giant scarecrow looking thing. I'm worried about her.
I am too. This is a cool old grandma.
Yeah. I am kind of glad, since we're just about to get into this, like, if I have one sort of minor criticism for this set of chapters, is that, like, I feel like the information we kind of get doled out sometimes it's kind of out of order, right?
Yeah, I think it's because of the chapter format. He wants to get a big boom cliffhanger type thing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and so just kind of randomly getting a phone call from Sanji, and then And then having this whole bit basically take place within like kind of getting pieces of information through flashback, I thought was just kind of just. I feel like it. I might be wrong. I think it happens once or twice more in this set that it just kind of it threw me off a bit.
I can kind of see that. It didn't throw me off personally, but I can see how it would, because you're flipping time frames all over the place, and you kind of need to do that to show that all this stuff is happening at the same time, and it's maybe a little clearer to have it be little sections for each crew member rather than 2 pages of this one, 2 pages of this one, 2 pages of this one, them all doing stuff at the same time.
So glad I'm not reading this weekly.
I can only imagine. I think I saw somebody say they eventually got a flowchart. Like they started writing down who was who and where they were.
You would. I think for weekly you would absolutely, and maybe we might need one at some point. I feel like we've got a lot of the major players down at this point, but there's still, this arc is chock full.
For sure. But we got a bit of a personality shift here as we get into the chapter itself, where Violet is saying, everyone might as well be naked before me. From the instant I saw you, I knew everything about you. I had heard you had a weakness for women, but I never could imagine its extent. Quite pathetic, really. And here's Sanji, beardless and just beaten all to hell.
Not surprising in the least. Right. But
it was too good. It seemed too good. It was too good. Turns out that Violet is part of the Treble Army as part of Don Quixote's family, which is basically clubs.
Mm-hmm.
She's an assassin for them. So I can't quite interpret if she's the leader of the Treble Army or if she's just an assassin for them, because she's sitting in one of those chairs, which makes me think she's a leader.
I don't think so, because this is not the castle, or this is not like the HQ.
Right.
This is not Doflamingo's. This is like a random warehouse.
Yeah.
I don't think she's the leader.
Okay.
But it is interesting. I really like Sanji's characterization during this section, where he's just, he's on death's door, just, bleeding out, and he's just like, you're lying. And here Violet's goons are like, that was all an act, you must be dreaming.
Yeah, because she's basically like, oh, you're a sorry excuse, Blackleg Sanji. Do you really think a man with your miserable failings could capture my heart? And he's just like, no, I know you have a pure, beautiful heart deep down, and you're being forced into this by wicked people. Can you really be this dense? And she just kicks him in the face, where it's just like, there's no romance here. And Sanji's down. It's like, well, we're seeing him just go through his, like, I will never hit women phase.
Yeah.
He's on the ground, and she has a devil fruit. She has the glare fruit, which allows her to be, like, she can get through all eyes and see into their minds, basically.
Which is great for an assassin. She's an interrogator, basically.
Yeah. So she's able to see through Sanji's clothes, so we see him shirtless, and even through his skin, so we see his skeleton. So this is what Sanji would look like if he was Brook.
Yeah, but he still has the curly eyebrow.
And the hair. So it's like, wow, that's... Huh. I love that little detail.
Yeah, how do you have hair? Never mind. Never mind.
And very much like how you have to take somebody beautiful like Hancock and put him into ridiculous poses for her glare fruit, where she first does it normally as she looks through her fingers with her thumb and her pointer finger, but then she does it upside down to like get like a really intense one.
Yeah, just to put her boobs out,
Yeah. Why did Law and Straw Hat join forces? And what's your purpose here in Dressrosa? What are you plotting, and how will you achieve it? No need to speak. The answers are all inside your head. And once I have them, your friends will be wiped off the map. Peeping mind. And she goes forehead to forehead, ready to get all the information out of him. And instead, nope, just vulgarity.
Yeah, it's the perfect Uno reverse card. She peers into Sanji's mind and just such vulgarity. And she's just genuinely, I don't know. I laughed pretty hard when I got to this. Like, this is like, it's great. It's just, you have a mind reader. You don't want to look at what's going on in Sanji's mind.
He might be getting beat up by a woman, might be concerned for his friends, but all that's on his mind is you.
Yes. The power of horny.
I'm thinking about you, about the look I saw in your eyes, that they spoke the truth. 1,000,000 people might curse your name, but I will never doubt a woman's tears. So just because he saw her cry that once, and he believed its sincerity, That's another big reason he's not really fighting back. And her men are just like, what's this nonsense? And you see a little shocked look on her face at the same time.
Yeah, and I think that the tears that she shed from just being how horrified, but I think this turning into genuine tears. But I had just thought about this now, but it reminds me in Water 7 where Sanji was like, a man will forgive a woman's lies, referring to Robin. I thought about that a lot, where like he's as much of a sort of perverted goofball he is, he's so like weirdly emotionally intelligent, right?
Yeah. We've seen that multiple times with how he's able to figure it all out. Like, he's a goofball, but he's also, in some ways, the smartest of the Straw Hats.
Yeah, there's sort of this innate sense. Well, it's because I feel like you get it too with Luffy, right? That sort of emotional intelligence. Whenever somebody is like trying to put on a brave face or is trying to like suffer through something, like Luffy's always the first person to point that out. But with Sanji, it is always so specifically with women.
Yeah. But it works. It gets through to her, and she uses tear whales, which apparently Glare Fruit has some more powers than we thought. She brings out tears that are actually the size of whales and takes out all the minions.
Yeah, I don't know what that has to do with the devil fruit, but sure, why not? But I mean, that's sort of the cool thing about this whole Violet thing, right? Like, it's kind of a double twist. It's here's this super genuine woman who turns out to be a traitor who turns out to be a double traitor.
It's like she's peered into so many people's minds that she can't trust men. Mm-hmm. But the fact that Sanji was so pure, even though it was perverted, it's just like, yeah, you're different. So and then the words, of course, it's like, we know everything that your people are doing. I can't believe you still trusted an enemy. You really are a hopeless man, but thank you. You lifted my heart. And Sanji's just like, hey, I don't know your story, but you don't want to work for Doflamingo, right? Just look what you did. So you can sail with us and leave this island. And she's just like, no. From the instant you brought Caesar to this island, you've been caught in his trap. Look in my mind. This is the memory from this morning. And as you were saying, like, they're like, let us know what's happening. Let us know, King Doflamingo, your majesty. What's happening here? Why have you stepped down from the throne? And he's just like, fine. And that's when the Cypher Pole Aegis Zero shows up, declaring it was a mistake. It was a false report.
Oops.
Yeah. A correction will be printed and distributed in a special issue at 3:00 today, which, damn.
Yeah. That's it. Just simply go about your daily schedule in pieces if nothing ever happened.
Yeah, and don't tell anyone of this. And it's masterful gambit. Like we were talking about, like, man, there seems to be something going on with memories or whatnot because everybody's so happy. It's like he's just keeping them like willfully ignorant. And like, no, they know the truth.
They're chilling. Yeah,
there's no reason to panic.
Sanji, kind of putting 2 and 2 together instantly, just like, why do I feel like my entire perspective just got turned upside down? Like, since when do the 7 warlords have the world government at their beck and call? Which is just like, yeah, like, and the way that even that again, we're getting there. We'll get to this, but the way Doflamingo is just like, man, is CP0 here yet? Like, he's waiting on them. He knows. Like, he's like, it almost feels like, yeah, like, they're at his beck and call.
Mm-hmm. So,
which is wild.
Yeah. And man, it's like, you got to warn your friends. You might still have time. So back on Greenbit, that's when Fujitora. Jeez. New character, learning name.
Yeah.
Is on the phone with Sakazaki. And
Sakazuki.
Like, I'm keep putting A's where there's U's.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's like that HQ is also duped by a bad report. Much as it pains me to admit, that's the case. I'm on my way to speak with the 5 elders in Marijoa now. Just handle it. And it's like, was he really tricked? I don't know about that one.
I kind of think he was. I think, as we're about to find out, I think the Navy's mistake here is genuine.
Wow. Here comes Robin showing up with one of her doppelgangers, I guess.
Yeah.
And
just popping out of the ground.
And that's when Law's like, okay, where's Usopp and your real body? So if all that's true, there's no deal. And Caesar's like, wait, I want to hand it over. When do I get handed over? It's like, Law's like, we got to get off this island. It's like, oh, there's a problem. We're underground right now. It's like, what? So we're in trouble, but we're in safe. We can't help, but you can go ahead and flee without us. So we'll head to the port you mentioned when we can. He's like, all right, I got it. And then in flaps Doflamingo, and she's just like, best of luck.
Flying in.
Like, it really does seem desperate when she's like, good luck. And he's like, yeah, same to you. We're in it now.
The two sane ones of the group.
Here comes Doflamingo. Here comes Fujitora. And it's like 3:00. I have to admit, I'm impressed. You got a naval admiral to show up of all people. So guess what, Law? Now that I've quit the warlords, I'm shaking my shoes over here. And he's like, yeah, you're a liar.
Yeah. I love it. Doflamingo's so committed to the bit, man. He knows. And he's just like, hey, Law, what's up? I quit. Oh, man, you got there's an admiral here? What's going on?
And it's one of those things where all this is going down and we go back to Corda Coliseum. Cavendish is upset that Luffy got into the match and he's not there, so he's trying to get in.
Yes.
But we see, some notable fighters around that we've been introduced to, some we haven't. And there's the opening bell for Block C, and Luffy's just like, I've been dying waiting over here. Let's time to kick some butt. And you're like, it just seems like a bit of an aside going on because it's like that 2-page thing. And
yeah,
like I was sort of talking about, it's like 2 pages what this character is all about, 2 pages what this character is all about. But it's played well here with, okay, Luffy has no idea what's going on. He's just in this tournament.
Yeah, that's the thing, is that like the plan is falling apart before their eyes, and Luffy's over here like, wee!
I'm having fun.
Yeah.
But of course, all over the world, people are seeing the correction that Doflamingo did not quit the warlords.
Yeah, I love the way that Law puts this. Is like, you used the strength of the world government and deceived the entire world just to gain an advantage over a dozen or so people. Which is just, when you lay it out like that, you're just like, oh my god.
The biggest magic shows often have the simplest tricks, Law. The rigidity of the mind and assuming that no one would be so foolish is what creates a man's blind spot. And Law's like, you're a pirate. Even as a warlord, you can't possibly have that much influence. If anyone could pull off something so preposterous, he'd have to be a celestial dragon. And that's when we just get a small flashback to
Virgo,
where he's like, nothing of Joker's past, and that will be your downfall. Wait.
He was right.
And I immediately was like, oh my god.
Yeah.
What the... All this time, he's been a freaking celestial dragon.
It explains a lot, actually. Like, well, one, it explains that's why he's just unrepentantly evil, for one.
Yeah.
But two, I mean, we had that line at the end of Marineford where he was sent to kill Moria, and Moria was like, did Sengoku send you? And he was like, nope, somebody higher up. And you're like, who? What? Really? That could only mean one thing. I think what is so cool about this, the implications of this reveal, and trust me, we will go into them in due time. But here we have, I feel like Doflamingo's position in the world is like, he knows who he is, and he is taking advantage of that. Like, he's untouchable. He's a celestial dragon, right? Like, first and foremost, he's untouchable. And as a warlord, as a government-sanctioned pirate, whose biggest client is a emperor, he's got his hands in everything, basically. Like, he might be the king of Dressrosa, but like he
almost has like full control of the world.
He's one of the most powerful people. Power, not in like raw unga bunga strength, but in terms of like politics, like he is actually kind of like the most powerful person in the world. Oops. And we pissed him off. We tried to dupe him.
Blew my freaking mind. Like
it's a great twist.
The reveal, because you're so used at this point to celestial dragons being fat, ugly, in their little bubble, just not wanting to breathe the same air. And here's Doflamingo being so different that you would never expect it.
Yeah, that's also, I had kind of forgotten that angle, since at this point, like he is so different than the other celestial dragons that we've seen. And for one, they all live in Mary Joa. They live above everybody. They're not gonna live in the ocean with the commoners. And so here's, Doflamingo, he's, for better or worse, like he's always in the action, right? Like he's always in the middle of things. It is definitely a reveal that raises more questions.
Yeah, it's like he's a rebel, I guess is the best way to put it.
Yeah, you could say. Yeah, he's not like the other girls,
No. And it makes me also think to the, backstory of Zed from the movie about how like he lost his arm, and of course somebody like Doflamingo would get awarded a warlord status.
Yeah, right. Like, and we had kind of posited that like it probably was Doflamingo. Like the guy who got away with it became a warlord. That's sort of one of my favorite things about Doflamingo is that he is like, he's the culmination, right? Like he's the representation of like this world's like stupid, flawed systems just kind of being left unopposed.
Yeah.
And just like here's a problem that nobody can do anything about. If you even consider it a problem in the first place. And there's a lot more going on here than meets the eye. So I cannot wait for us to fully unpack this all as this arc goes on.
I can't remember the last time I had my mind blown that much of a reveal in this manga.
Oh, it's good, isn't it?
I just never expected it. And just just the ending of him like being like, no, I just really, really wanted to kill you.
Yeah, right. Which gets down to it. It's like he's not here flaunting and strutting it like, oh yeah, I'm a celestial dragon. I'm at the top of everything. I'm, blah, 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 this or that. And like, he's not the monologue-y type of villain like Caesar is, right? It just, yeah, as it comes down to it, I just wanted to kill you. Which just, I love Doflamingo so much. He's such a good villain.
We do have an SBS. Oh my god.
Right, the SBS.
And you actually told me to skip this one when I was first reading it because it spoils something for the next chapter. But we've all read all the 5 chapters, so it's all.
Yeah, I think it's fair.
All good here. Where first person is asking, like, hey, back on volume 31, the kids are asking for a story about the land of dwarves, right? Right. Please explain. It's like, man, yeah, I'm glad you found this, though. Perhaps you can find the answer to your question in chapter 113, which starts right over there. Give it a read. It's like, and it is of Mont Blanc amongst the kids, and they'll be like, tell us about the story, the country of dwarves. Huh.
Yeah. How about that?
Of course that was set up. Of course that was set up. What the hell?
Skypiea is always relevant.
Always.
Skypiea will never not be relevant.
Always. My God.
Skypiea enjoyers keep winning. We never lose.
The other one I got a kick out of was the Frankie shirt saying JK on it, which is a bit of an English joke almost, just because it's a bunch of letters, JK LMNOP. But no, apparently it's a meaning in Japanese as well, where it could also stand for JK, could also stand for Joshi Kosei, a female high schooler, which explains the braided pigtails on Frankie.
Yes, it does. Yeah.
What in the
world? I'm surprised I didn't notice that. I didn't think about that.
I do love this. It's like, it's really creepy, but the more I see these braided pigtails, the more I think they look good on him. And that's totally gross too. But he's not wrong. He's like, the more I see it on him, it's like, the more it's like kind of works. Again, with the beard, but
it works in a weird way. Yeah.
Oh my God. All right. Chapter 713, Usoland. What in the hell's going to happen next?
Yeah, right. Really?
Yeah. We get the name of the people attacking here with the whole Caribou story, where it's a mad dash to escape the deadly pirate Scotch. So I don't know if they're like part of this island or they rule the island or whatever, but it's a pirate that's attacking everybody. And this is a pirate named Scotch. It's just a military scarecrow thing.
I had posited that it like could have been like a pacifista or something of some kind because it just looked so mechanical.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess not.
I don't know where this is going. Like, what does this mean? But we get into the handoff, and Caesar's like, hey, flatten this miserable excuse. And it's like, no, you're not. It laws me like you're not getting him back. Everything's off the table now. You get nothing because you didn't follow the terms. It's like, Caesar's just like, I'm so close.
I do love that this is a very kind of serious, intense scene. I love that Caesar is here just Just Joker, please.
Doflamingo's just having the time of his life. It's like, oh, is that really the nicest thing you can say to the boss you haven't seen in over a decade? Leave Caesar. He's a valuable subordinate to me. And Fujitora is just looking at this as like, huh. So that's Caesar Clown, the scientist involved with that poison gas incident. But if he's working for the warlord, then he's exonerated. He has amnesty. And that's when Doflamingo takes notice of him. It's like, I've heard rumors of Fujitora, the man promoted to naval admiral after the international military draft. They say you and Ryokugyu. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Kyugyu.
Yeah, that one's a complicated one. Also, don't worry about Ryokugyu. We do not have to worry about him for a while.
Well, it seems like an international military draft. So they pulled like Aki Inu pulled from like across like further out than usual to get the admiral, and at least with Fujitora got somebody from Wano apparently. So what in the world? That's how he found these powerful guys. He didn't promote from below. He just found outside guys to become the new admirals.
Although when I think about that, I'm trying to how do I word this? I think for reasons, it would probably be hard for them to get somebody from Wano, but Fujitora definitely has like lineage from Wano. I think getting somebody directly from Wano, I think, could be tricky. But
all right.
I do like that he like, and that's the fun thing about Fujitora during this sequence, right? Because he is such a, as we see, like he's just kind of a genuine, very straightforward dude, and I love he gets kind of a compliment from Doflamingo. He's like, "That's mighty kind of you," and he's just like, "You can save the humble act," because it just the Doflamingo, I guess, like he just assumes that, oh yeah, he's probably just like as corrupt as the rest of them.
If I had a word for Fujitora's justice based off what we see here, it's simple justice. It's black and white almost. So. It's like if you follow within these rules, this is where you stand.
Yeah, he's very much a rules man.
I am having trouble grasping the particulars of your behavior. I don't know the full story here, but I've got information that suggests your activities have been violating the rules for one of the 7 warlords. That is that fellow over there that has been calling you Joker. Is that a nickname or some such? It's like, if you want to dig in my background, then you better get your elbows dirty before you start making accusations. What will the Navy's course of action be? So, regarding Law's punishment. Well, if the reports in the newspapers are true and you're allied with the Straw Hats, then you're guilty. But if they're working for you now, Law is your subordinates, you're in the clear. Depending on how you answer the question, we'll be needing to arrest you and the Straw Hat crew. And that's when Caesar's like, you mean he can get away with just a single lie? Get scot-free? He's like, boy, is that real world?
Yeah, right. And I like this too, because of course, like, Law is making, he's doing the calculations in his head. He's just like, suddenly I'm the target here. If I let the situation travel back to Dressrosa, it'll only make things worse. But I like it because Law declares Straw Hat and I are equals in this matter. As the article says, we have an alliance, which, he says that he thinks to himself he's doing it to buy some time. But that's real power friendship stuff to me, right? Like, I'm not going to write off my homies.
They've been together, like he's been with Luffy almost since his introduction on Sabaody. Like he's just had this connection with Luffy ever since that point. And it has built into, I guess, something. I don't know exactly what, but it's fascinating all the same. Like, why does he trust Luffy so much? Like, we get it, but why him? Why save him?
I think you're going to like the answer.
Oh my God.
I just remembered why.
Really? Why. Wow.
Yeah.
So, the title is revoked. Let's hope that that's all the news that's made for now. And he starts using his gravity power, Fujitora does, to pull a flaming meteor out of the sky to land on the island. What in the hell?
Yes. And that's, I think, out of everything happening in this situation, that even Doflamingo is like, tell me this is a bad joke, right? Like we're seeing a new admiral roll up for the first time, and he just jumps into space and brings down a meteor, and everyone's like, all right, everybody run for it. And then you have this amazing sequence of 2 pages of like both of them, Law and Doflamingo, just like cutting the meteor in their own way.
It's amazing.
And Fujitora too. It's a good set piece, man.
And it just ends with a massive hole, except for the 3 pillars that the 3 of them protected themselves on, which is just an awesome showdown moment.
We've turned this into the world's craziest Mexican standoff.
Oh, Doflamingo's like, what is that they are teaching you? You're like a wild dog.
Yeah, which again, I feel like the implication here is like the way that he kind of talks down to Fujitora is kind of like, oh, like he expects control, right? He expects like, oh, the Navy's just another thing I can manipulate. But now here's this guy who's like, you're not like the other ones. What are you doing?
Yeah. It's interesting. It kind of does give you that sense of like, oh, there's where his kind of celestial dragon brattiness is coming in.
Yeah, you're definitely right.
Huh. Oh, God, it's a really cool set piece just to demonstrate the powers of all these 3. Good God.
Yeah, Fujitora doesn't play. He's just as strong as the other admirals. Don't underestimate him. I like that. Yeah, even Law's like, I guess whether he can see or not is merely a secondary concern.
Seriously. But I love this. We go back to Frankie, and he's just grabbing a cola and a burger as he's going through, and he's talking with Sanji on the snail as he's going along. It's like, oh yeah, what have you been doing while the rest of us were working, Sanji? I fell in love. Oh, well, ain't that nice? I think I've got to find the factory place though. It's going to be a little more difficult. Then we can see like branching out from there. He's on these tank treads from his knees as he's eating all this to make him look like a toy.
Yeah. Oh, that's duh. I didn't realize that was why.
I'm
thought
assuming
it was just
that's
a goofy
why.
little thing. Yeah.
It might just be a goofy
sense.
thing, but I love the ongoing joke. If you look in the background, there's just to Frankie's left on that panel, there's a little boy who's like stars in his
he's got
eyes.
the little stars in his eyes, yeah.
And then there's an older man also has a little star next to him as he's looking at Frankie. And then there's a little girl with the most dead face look at us like, what? I love how it's become just a common joke.
Look, if nothing else, gender roles are consistent in the world of One Piece.
Very much so. But, I love it. It's a dumb joke. It plays into gender norms, but it's funny as hell to me for some reason, just because it's so consistent.
I think because it's so consistent, and this one being in the background, like it's a blink and you miss it sight gag. I think the subtlety helps with it a little bit.
But yeah, they're going to the flower field, and Sanji's like, I can't get in touch with Nami back on the Sunny, so I hope she's all right. And what, you think she's still just delicate flower? She'll be fine. Besides, she's got Brooke and Chopper with her. Like I like how chill Frankie is. Like, Frankie kind of seems to be the standout straw hat for me for whatever reason for Dressrosa so far. I think he's been the most fun.
He's definitely been the most, and the most kind of on the ball, right? Like he's taking action, but also kind of understands the vibes of the situation. Like yeah, maybe he shouldn't have let Luffy into the tournament, but he understood that like, no man, this is important. Like this, you got to do it for your brother. Mm-hmm. Meanwhile, he's got his eyes on the prize.
All the while, Sanji's panicking about all this new information, and all of a sudden he sees a monitor. Is like, what's that? Oh, it's footage from the Coliseum. That's totally Luffy.
Yeah, I just love that. Just amongst all of the other crazy things happening right now, that he just passes the TV. He's like, "Is it Luffy?"
And hey, Frankie, I don't mean to alarm you, but for Luffy's, oh yeah, he's fighting in the Coliseum. Why would you let him do that? You're supposed to be keeping an eye on him. Hey, you're one to talk.
Yeah, the back and forth.
And Violet has to get out of there because her men are coming this way. So you want to go to the secret factory? Yes. Here's a map. Publicly, it's known as the House of Toys. That's the factory. It's like, whoa. If they find out you helped me this much, it's like, oh, don't be silly. This won't make a difference. I bet all the other officers know about my betrayal by now. So, Western Harbor, we'll meet up there. Stay out of sight. Wait for there. I'm going to make sure you get out of this place. Like, Sanji's dedicated. And she just laughs and be like, oh, you really are a hopeless man. And yeah, he's fallen. He's totally
he's in love.
For it.
And I love Sanji doesn't get his moment because here comes Kinemon, just pardon the intrusion, hopeless man. He just shoves his face right in while Violet just runs off to hide.
Can you beat these guys up for me? And it's the guys that was chasing him before. It's like, can't you beat them yourself? It's like, no, these are the ones that took Kanjuro prisoner. I could not attack them, but you must come with me, sir, to a place called the House of Toys. That's where Kanjuro's
look at our
being
subplots.
Already
Look at our subplots all
converging.
coming together. Yeah, right?
Gotta love it. Back on Greebit, beneath the forest, there's Usopp and Robin wondering what the heck all the shaking's about.
Yeah, which I would assume is all of the fighting happening upstairs.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I love Usopp. He's freaking out. I don't want to die down here. And then he's just like, just kidding. That rumbly was simply a product of my hockey.
You mean that thing you used to beat 50,000 bad guys down on Fishman Island? Way to go, hero.
and instantly we all know what happens.
Apparently the fighting fish is a kind of goldfish, which is really funny.
That is incredible.
And it's like, man, and Usopp realizes, so these guys must be like super crazy strong. They can live for several months off of one of those fish, which makes sense. And they call him Usoland.
Yes.
That's when he's like, oh, you should see Luffy Land, another member of my Usolanders squad. He need an entire fish hole.
See, that's not that much of an exaggeration.
And I love how, like, she's like, what is Usoland? It's like, hey, look over there, Robin. Does that ring a bell? And here's the hero they're talking about. The same guy we saw in the picture book back in Jaya, Mont Blanc Noland. And that's how Usopp pulled this off.
Which, and again, as we saw with the SBS, like, yeah, the implication being that Nolan actually went to Dressrosa. Who, he came to the kingdom 400 years ago. Some bad guys are messing up our island. He came to our ancestors' side and helped us win the battle. He's the legendary hero to all Tontadas. And so, of course, Usopp told them that he was a descendant. Just look at my head. The chestnut dome is a symbol of our family.
Just because he had him to wear this hat that has a chestnut dome, which is amazing. I love how Oda uses all these elements to just make it work.
Yeah. And it's just, Usopp is nothing if not an expert improviser. And I love Robin's like, you are so wicked.
Hey, it saved you, didn't it? Let's eat our gift, eat it, accept our gifts, and scram. That's when time for the other shoe to drop. It's like, it can only be an act of fate. Exactly. The legendary hero has finally returned after 400 years on the very day we vowed to fight back against Doflamingo. Usoland, when you're done eating, we got to head to the flower field through the tunnels. The captain and his Riku royal army are waiting for us in Dressrosa, the place of the final battle. You got to stand at the front and lead us. You got to defeat the wicked Don Quixote family. Since Usoland has the strength of 100 men, and that face from Usopp is like,
Usoland.
Huh?
Well, he has now become their god. He is now going to lead them into a deadly revolution. Which, hey, if there weren't enough things happening in Dressrosa, the Tontadas are gonna have a coup.
Amazing.
It just so happened that they were planning it on this day.
I love how everything always just so happens when they get to places.
Yep.
It's always the case, but it's still funny.
I love this for so many reasons. I love that, yes, of course, Usopp would lie and that they would believe it, and that it would lead them to like, well, hey, if you're our hero, lead us in battle.
Yes. Strike down our enemies. We do have another SBS. I do got to mark this one. The artwork at the top of this SBS, that's beautiful.
Oh, yeah, that's great.
That's a standout one with Brooke playing on the piano and the music forming the SBS. Brilliant job on that one. That's inspired.
Yeah, that's lovely.
We got the nicknames that, or the names that Law calls everybody, as well as where they be from, like what prefectures of Japan. I don't care about that because I don't know what the differences are. So, but Luffy's Straw Hat, Usopp is the Nose, Robin is Nico, Zoro, Sanji is Blackleg, Frankie is Robo, Nami's Nami, Chopper is Tony, and Brooke is Boney.
Yep. The only thing I have to say about the prefecture thing is that Luffy being from Okinawa makes a lot of sense. It's super down south to the point where it has its own kind of like indigenous like subculture that is sort of kind of not really like it's kind of its own separate thing, and they have their own kind of native language that is not really Japanese.
Oh.
It's kind of, I guess, like, it feels kind of gross to say exotic, but you kind of know what I mean. Like they're kind of, I don't know. I see the very free form and very kind of laid back in a way that I could totally see Luffy being from Okinawa in the same way that, with what was it with World Countries, like he would be from Brazil, right? I think it was.
Yeah. Something like that.
The rest, I got nothing.
No, I got nothing. I couldn't tell you. Apparently, that those rabbit waves, otherwise, is based off a story from New Guinea. When rabbits ran out of food to eat, they tricked the fish into lining up so they could cross the sea on the backs of the fish. So that's where that whole thing got inspired from. So that's neat.
Yeah. Jesus, we have 2 chapters
I know.
left.
I knew this was going to be a long one. There's no way it wasn't going to be.
There's no way it wasn't. Yeah.
All right. Chapter 714, Lucy and Moosey. And, Caribou's made it back to the port where his abandoned lackeys are waiting for him. Uh-oh.
well, hey, he gets to escape.
Yeah, except they might be a little upset.
Yeah. He definitely seems like a more awkward reunion.
Yeah. And we heard that they, for a while, for those chapters, we heard that the Don Quixote family was attacking the Sunny. Mm-hmm. And we hadn't seen anything of it, but now we're finally getting to see it. And oh my God.
Yeah, it feels like Oda had this idea and he just decided to go nuts with it.
Seriously. So the one who was in the Sunny was this Giola, the old woman that we had seen before, who is also part of the Treble army.
She looks like somebody's aunt. She looks like an aunt. Just very like almost like American cartoon kind of aunt.
Yeah. Which I think is also kind of a funny callback. Who just called me a mermaid princess? Nobody did. Just like, no, she kind of does look like an old mermaid.
Yeah.
But she's specifically looking for Momonosuke.
Yeah.
What the heck does he want with Momonosuke?
Man, things are right.
So many mysteries, but she's like, all I saw was an eel. So why is he over there with you? So it's like, oh, okay. So they don't know he can turn into a dragon now. So that worked out. Mm-hmm. But yeah, Doflamingo wanted them to capture Momonosuke and seize the ship. And then we saw it in like little panels with them with Brook and Chopper reacting. But now we get to see it happen to all of them, where they've become art.
They're art.
Like, I love how Brook is literally the Scream. That's
which fits. It's perfect. Yeah, they've all become like almost, I guess, like, I don't know. This feels like Oda flexing, right? Like that he can just change art styles on a whim like this. Even like the
Cubist
the boats they're
Chopper.
On. Yeah, Cubist Chopper. Like, it's just all of the different kind of art styles going around. It's crazy.
I also love how he took what's supposed to be, typically your super sexy Nami, and she's once again flat as a board with the strangest face.
Yes.
But they have a plan. They've escaped thanks to their little smaller ships, the Sub and Nami's Waver,
which have also been turned into art.
Yes. And they're basically like, okay, we got to get her to focus over here and not affect the Sunny at all. Because somehow she has a power to do this. But instead, she just, it's like, hey, boys, go catch them and seize Momonosuke. Oh, I can't stand it anymore. I feel my soul shaking. The images are coalescing in my mind. My heart cannot be contained. It must erupt. And she's going to do the thing again that happened to the men's bedroom. It's like, what world happened to this?
It's like she has like a thought cloud that like turns into a real cloud that she grabs onto and like throws it at the Sunny. What on earth?
Yeah, she's somehow able to affect things like this. And I love the comment is like, putting aside Frankie's rage, if he ever sees this problem, is it even possible to put them back to normal?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't want to see what poor Frankie.
And then we see the Sunny, and it's so messed up. The poor Sunny.
No, it's beauty.
Sure. It looks like it's melting and just has the dumbest looking face. And there's a shocking look from Momonosuke when he sees what the figurehead is turned into from the more lion-based one to sort of just like a big pair of lips and eyes.
Yeah.
I don't know why that's affecting him so much, but it's curious.
I think it's just a gag, but
okay.
I could be wrong.
Maybe. I wasn't sure if it like reminded him of something. I have no idea.
It looks like a gag reaction to me, but I could that be something? I'm not sure.
I like how Giola here is smart though. He's like, "Oh, you're trying to distract me." Like, no, I got this. Focus. I know what I got to do.
Yeah, they've of course the Protect the Sunny crew. They've got their own problems to deal with.
God.
And again,
I can only imagine people's thoughts about Nami looking like that.
Yeah, no, they've ruined her. All the while, again, Luffy's just he's stuck in a tournament arc.
Yep. And it's one of those things where when we got back to the tournament here, it's like I almost had this feeling of go back, because I honestly at this point thought, are they just going to skip Luffy's match entirely? Which at first I thought, well, that makes sense. There's not really anything there. Then obviously we don't as we get to towards the end of this, and it's like, oh no, they set up a lot of big players for him to fight. Oh,
right.
Crap. It's like it's a wild thing to have a tournament arc going. And to have the reader be like, no, go to the other stuff.
Right, yeah, because I feel like with most shonen tournament arcs, like that's like the thing. Or there's like, there's like a subplot with the villain planning something sinister. Oh, the tournament was just a ploy to do this or that, the distraction. But no, we are doing a tournament and like 5 other things at the same time.
It's amazing, especially because we're not even focusing on Luffy yet. It's instead focusing on Ricky, the mass fighter we saw from Block B. Mm-hmm. And he's doesn't want heal. He's like, healing warriors after a public battle to the death. It's a mockery. It's like, no, we got to take care of you. It's like, no, don't touch my mask. Don't take it off to try to stop the bleeding. And he's sort of struggling. And that's when Rebecca shows up. It's like, no, you really ought to let him see you. It's like, no. And she's like, he just like leaves like, no, I can walk on my own. And it brings to mind a memory for this guy. It's like, Rebecca, forgive me, where he's like, he has a mustache and is looking up at her. It's like, basically like, forgive me. It's like, okay, who's the old guy? Because he definitely looks older with the mustache underneath there. And you're going to toss out immediate prediction. It is the guy that has the statue of him. What's his name? Zai something.
Kiros.
And I'm going to say that it's her father. Just because of that little thing of him, like a little girl approaching.
Yeah. And see, that's the thing. It's interesting that actually, you know what? I was going to throw something out. I don't think I could say it without giving away too much. So I'm going to hold my comment back. But it's interesting, like between Ricky and like the toy soldier, like we're kind of getting bits and pieces of like her relationships to the other people here.
Rebecca feels like she's going to be a major player as time goes on.
She's really important. She is a major player.
I believe it. And I mean, it's also the fact that their warrior getup is essentially the same. Like helmet, cape, very little armor.
Yep.
So,
the thing about the statue, right? About like nobody remembers him, and like if this is a person who, like, I feel like even though Ricky's wearing a mask, right? Like if he has these memories of presumably himself and Rebecca, in that in shadow there, right? Like, what is it about that? Like she doesn't seem to really remember. We have little like crumbs of what's going on here, but definitely not enough to put together the full picture yet.
Not at all. So that's interesting. And then I also like this. Mm-hmm. The waiting room inside the Coliseum for the Don Quixote family. It's Bellamy. He's like, Straw Hat's fighting in the tournament right now, Diamante, can be after his match. And Joker wants Bellamy to kill Straw Hat. And he's willing to give the man who failed to win another chance of redemption. You're a lucky sap, Bellamy. Assassination's an easy job. Just make sure the deed is done before the tournament ends. And we get this dark, like that whole shadow thing of him where he has a decision to make where it's like Luffy cheered for him. But this is also his chance to take a spot in the family and be a full officer finally.
I was not expecting getting characterization for Doflamingo here. Not Doflamingo, sorry. Bellamy.
Right. And I'm like, what?
Right, yeah, because you had assumed after he lost his block, was like, all right, yep, that's it. All right, we saw Bellamy again. Nice to see you. But no, like he's kind of got more. Oda's got more plans for him.
Hell, he might have a redemption at this point, which is so Dragon Ball for a tournament arc.
Oh, for sure. Honestly, even the kind of like the assassination kind of subplot is also very Dragon Ball in its own way.
Yeah, that's true. And now we move over again. I at this point I really did think we were skipping over Luffy's fight because we're at the Coliseum, but we're not focusing on the fight. Instead, we move over to Bartolomeo, who approaches Cavendish, and it's like, I hear you're gunning for our friend. And he has this chained up suitcase marked with all these warnings.
Yeah. I actually don't know what's in there. I don't remember. I have a good guess, but I don't remember.
And they have a little conversation because, I hear you're gunning for Lucy. Oh, well, congrats on advancing, but Lucy has nothing to do with you. And Bartolomeo is like, no, I'm afraid that ain't true. He's not yours to kill. You too, huh? Well, he is a man of the times, but he's my quarry, not yours. It's like, oh, trust me, we go back further. And like,
oh,
what? And that's when I started really looking at Bartolomeo's design. Theory time. He is either Moria or he's related to Moria. His design is too close.
Oh man, I wouldn't have clocked that at all. I like that.
It's the teeth. It's sometimes some of the looks, even the hair to a slight degree. Like, I something's up there.
Clearly, something's up there. Yeah, that they seem to have, or at least he seems to have some kind of connection with Luffy.
And that's the only connection I could think of is either like, I need revenge on Luffy because he defeated me before, and somehow Moria became this.
Yeah.
But he also has completely different powers, so that can't be it. So it has to be like a relative, if there's a relation at all.
I get kind of. Oh no! See, the comparison I was about to make, I feel like is also. I think it would give away too much, so I'm gonna. We're
getting into the tricky part for you, where you want to discuss, but you can't give too much away.
Exactly.
Oh man,
so I don't want to say. Which I'm sorry, that's not a very interesting podcast to listen to. So I'm trying to watch myself.
No, I feel like people would be more upset if I got spoiled on things.
Yeah, that's true for sure, absolutely.
Or figured it out too. Like, well done again with the Doflamingo playing it so close to the vest about the celestial dragon. Something I had my theories, but I never predicted anything like that. I thought he was just a simple pirate.
Right, yeah.
With connections.
You would have, other than that one line in Marineford, you would have no reason to assume that he was just not like a normal dude.
Yeah. But we finally get into Block C itself, where contestants are dropping left and right, and one that's standing out completely is there's a giant in this fight. One of the giants of Elbaf. He's like, ha, you ever seen a giant with Lugia powers? And you're about to see one. I'm Hajrudin.
So I have to double check this. I think the J is silent. So I think it's Harudin.
Harudin, okay.
Yeah, I checked the wiki based on how it's spelled in Japanese. I think because it's like Norse, right?
Probably.
So I think the J is silent. I'm gonna check the dub to see what they did, and I want to check the anime in general because I'm not sure. But yeah. I know I remember at least that's how Roger says it. I don't know where he got it from.
Okay.
Yeah.
In the meantime, he believes that with the flame fruit, he could become the king of the giants. So that's ambitious.
I mean, he's also right though, right? That like having a giant with really any Logia devil fruit, but especially the flame fruit, would be pretty devastating.
Yep, that's for sure. Then we get this other thing. It's like, meanwhile, unperturbed by the countless warriors surrounding it, a single bull continues its rampage. In a duel with condemned prisoners here at the Colosseum, this killer beast once sent 21 miscreants to hell. The Grim Reaper of the Colosseum, we call him the Brutal Bull. So there's just a random bull in the mix.
Oh, yeah, and we saw that actually when we had all of those panels with like the all of the different entrants in the various blocks. Like there was actually panels of like, oh yeah, there's a bull. There were some other random animals in the other blocks.
That's right. You're right. Oh my God. That's funny. But yeah, Luffy's tamed him, and it's actually entertaining the crowd. It's like, what is he doing?
Yeah, this is so in character because we've seen this so many times before where Luffy just has this kind of innate connection to animals.
And even Gyat's, the announcer, is like, oh, I have to admit, I like him too. It's like, stay impartial.
Yeah. Even and of course, just Cavendish is just like seething in the crowd.
Even with his identity hidden, he's stealing my popularity. Damn you, Straw Hat. And it's like, almost like a fun, good time where just, it's Rebecca's laughing and Luffy and the cow is having a good time, and they eventually smack into the ankle of Haruden, and he's like, oh no, he just picked a fight with him. And he's like, you dare challenge me? He's like, watch out, Moosey, dodge. And Moosey doesn't get out of the way, and he gets flattened by Haruden.
No.
Broke his horn, broke his teeth. The poor bull. And Luffy's flattened into the ground. Is like, oh, it was all too brief. The difference in strength was stark before the mighty rookie of Elbaf. Even the Grim Reaper of the Colosseum and the mystery warrior Lucy were powerless. And that's when all of a sudden, like they're kind of pausing, because Luffy's already up. He's feeling the bull, sees it knocked out. the Gyatso is freaking out about this, and Lacey pissed off Luffy, who jumps up and with a single punch, gear 2, by the way, because you can see the smoke, just takes him out. You can even see the hockey there. You can see the indent on his helmet. Knocks out a giant in one punch.
What dude, Luffy's a monster right now.
I mean, he was already holding up pretty well against the giants at Little Garden. After this power up, it makes sense that he can take on giants.
Yes. Which is, I am in awe. Just how cool of a panel it is.
So good. It's like, and with that, you got me hooked back on the Termin plot line.
Right. You got. And see, that's the crazy part, right? And again, I did have this complaint about like, we're kind of jumping around a whole bunch, but like, I feel like the things that we do get kind of sufficient time on, kind of in a normal linear fashion, are really good.
Mm-hmm. And so far, there's only been one real skip around in time, just the Sanji part so far, anyway.
Yeah,
we do have an SBS, which it's not just Oda's that are horny. It's like,
oh yeah, of course
they're talking about Rebecca. Is like, okay, her bikini bottom, is it possible that beneath that flap of cloth is a paradise of non-pantiness? Which I'm like, you telling me she's 16? Is like, please let it be another 16-year-old saying this.
I mean, it is you know what?
It is a for boys thing, but
yeah, I was gonna say it's a, that's the target audience, for Shonen Jump. I don't know if it's good or not that Oda chooses not to answer. I kind of don't like either result, and you shouldn't have taken this question in the first place. But
yeah. Yeah. If I could have stayed blissfully unaware, then think that she was like 20.
Yeah.
Like, oh, Oda. But now it's just like,
I don't remember if that is information that is revealed in canon or in the story, or if it's like
what, the flap?
Like
no,
her
age.
age.
Oh, the age.
Her age. I don't remember if that's mentioned in the manga or not.
Okay.
Or if it's something
supplemental materials.
I guess we'll see. Yeah.
I guess we'll see. We got other people coming up with a birthday for Bartolomeo, which kind of kills the theory that is Moria. So I think it's just related to Moria. And also he's from the East Blue, which is interesting. Like, how far back? Well,
hilariously, he's 7'3".
Yeah, he's a big boy.
That's so funny.
We also have the rare moment of, well, who knows if it's rare, but Oda's editors being like, you can't do this joke. Because he originally wanted to call, instead of Region B, when they were checking out Robin, Region Boobs. And he thought it was really funny. But his editor said, no, it wasn't allowed. And we got into a big fight. Since I'm out of shape, I wound up with skull fracture.
Oh, they fought. Probably not, but
yeah.
Oh dear.
It's like, oh boy, he is just.
Yeah. So apparently there are lines, which you would have thought.
Yeah.
That even in Shonen Jump, they're like, hey man, which, okay, sure.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's get to the final chapter for the set. 715, The Battleground of Block C. And no hard feelings, because our dead grandma always said brothers need to get along. So
Oh,
forgives him. All the guys in the background cheering, which all seem to be more Korobu's men every time you look at them.
I feel like that this is not the end is wild to me. I feel like this is where it would end.
I wonder if Caribou and this crew are going to take this and like try to go save the old lady, like especially because of the whole grandma angle now.
Yeah, man. Who can say?
Yeah, I got no clue on that one. But yeah, we get into the chapter itself and confirmed. Harvard is down.
Yeah, wow. Just introduced. Oh man, here we have a giant. Oh, this is gonna be hype. Luffy one-shots him. Man, I'm excited to see. I'm excited to see Luffy fight the rest of this tournament.
Crowd's completely behind him, and Luffy just picks up the bull and be like, "Hey, I'm gonna carry you off to the side, Moosey. So you just hang still." And Cavendish is like, figures. And Bartolomeo is just like into it, like smiling.
He's grinning. Yeah.
Rebecca can't believe he's this strong, and all of a sudden another competitor comes up. It's like, "Hey, Giant, you're inside the ring. Take your nap time outside." He tosses the Giant out of the ring into the stands.
Man, these Giants getting disrespected.
Really are. It's done by an explosion where we get to meet Ideo, Cannon of Destruction, a triple X level boxer with shoulders that go up over his head.
Despite the shoulders, he's kind of one of the more normal looking guys.
Yeah. Honestly, he looks the type that you could see almost being on a part of Law's crew.
Yeah. I love that apparently he's the 2-time champion of the New World Central MMA League. I love that One Piece has MMA. That's hilarious.
That is really funny. Not a pirate, but he wants to be even better. So he wants to eat the flame fruit. He wants more power, and he starts just firing explosive punches everywhere. And now we get to see more of the other fighters, where we get the trio of gangsters hailing from Kano in the Far East with a style of their own, which seems to be more Chinese-inspired rather than Japan-inspired as Wano. Oh, I just realized Wano and Kano, of course.
Yeah, which might I that's probably the pun. Although, see, now I need to go look up what the kanji for China is and if it's related, because they called it earlier, and I thought that's what the pun was, because they called Kano the Kingdom of Flowers, and the kanji for ka can be flower.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I thought that's what it was doing, but it also might be like if there's some other connection where that kanji can also mean China, I wouldn't be surprised.
Not
something
at all.
Like that. Yeah.
But yeah, we get to see their Kenpo skills, as we get to see Sai using some pretty impressive kicks and using having a shockwave style that goes through armor and just takes them down.
Yeah.
No issue there. Then we get to see Boo with their sort of club also doing some sound attacks. And of course, Don Chin Zhao.
Yeah, of course.
I don't know if we've ever seen Don Chin Zhao's feet.
Yeah, I don't know either. Yeah, he's just surrounded by other people, surrounded by billowing smoke and stuff. It's also I had this observation, and again, my lack of research is showing here. But they these guys, the family here, they're from something called the Happosui Army, which I immediately clocked as that. It sounds like a Japanese reading of a Chinese word is the best way I can describe it. And I think I'd have to double check. It's probably translates something to like 8 palm or something like that. I don't know what the sui part is. Maybe water. Actually, probably water. So maybe I don't know, like 8 palm or 8 step water or something. I don't know.
I mean, they're definitely going to that theme.
Oh, yeah. They're definitely Chinese themed. is the point I'm making.
Yeah. But then we get find out that Don Chin Zhao has Haki of the Supreme King.
Yes, he does.
Well, that makes it a little bit more interesting. He's like, boy, he is a threat.
Yeah, he's actually a huge deal.
But one who was not affected by it and one who's taken advantage of it is the bounty hunter Jean Ango Jean the Bandit.
And he's very, very Mexican.
Yes, he is very Mexican coded. Has a cactus on his hat and just some sort of thing covering his mouth.
Yeah. Well, and the cactus is it's a sombrero.
Yeah, that's true. That's true too.
Yeah. Although weirdly, it doesn't. Even if he's wearing I guess it's because it's just the cactus and the sombrero, but otherwise his body shape and his design otherwise doesn't feel stereotypical. It's just it doesn't feel as kind of uncomfortable as like Jeet and the other guy.
I agree. It's fine.
It just looks like a muscly dude wearing a sombrero.
Pretty much. But if some other pirate is chasing after him, he's like, you think I'd forget the man who sent my partner to prison? And he's like, the weapons I find are my bullets, and I'm a sniper. And he starts flinging the swords that he's gathered up, because he's not collecting them just to collect them. He uses them as ammunition. That's wild.
I love that we're seeing so many just crazy fighting styles here that really just show up for like a panel or two. Just like, here's this one concept,
here's another, and just do all these. But more interesting than that, if your partner's that important to you, why don't you prove it by storming the prison? I remember someone stupid enough to do that 2 years ago. It's like,
I understand that reference.
Yeah, that's fascinating. But then here comes the Funk brothers. But the older brother, who's tinier, is just punching the heck out of this one guy. He's already out cold. He just keeps pummeling him. He's not even conscious. He's like, hey, bro, hold on, that's enough. Held down the wrong guy. He keeps holding down the guy that gets pummeled instead of his brother to try to stop him.
That's a great bit.
He's upset because he got called a shrimp.
Of course, the Edward Elric classic.
Of course. And it's like, no, you're a giant of a man. So he's kicking him on the ground. He's like, no, stop, bro. Oops, held down the wrong guy.
I couldn't. And I don't remember which is which. The shrimpy older brother. His face feels like it's modeled after like an actor or a celebrity of some kind. It looks really familiar, but I can't clock it.
I wouldn't be surprised if he's Joe Pesci inspired.
Oh yeah, I can see it.
I don't know, but yep, we get to hear more about the Funk brothers. No, not a soul in the criminal underworld doesn't know their name, and it says here that they're powerful enough to take down pirates worth at least 9 digits, and that's when I think it's Boo who's like, I'm curious, what's how strong these guys can really be. So he does a punch, and down goes Kelly Funk, the older brother.
Yeah, and I love that Gyatz is just like, man, what a letdown.
The girls are just like, Gyatz, please, take it seriously.
Yeah, he's kind of becoming one of my favorites, actually.
Yeah, I kind of like this announcer. And that's when it's like, you're next, little brother. It's like, wait, I don't do the fighting. Believe it or not, I've never been in a fight. And he like covers his brother and shows his back, and the axe, he brings down the axe and it snaps off.
Yeah, and not only that, Boo says, wait, that axe was coated with armament hockey.
What is his body made of? And that's interesting.
Yep.
And that's when Kelly's like, Bobby, you got to put it on. It's like, what? And somehow, I don't know how, but it feels like the two merge, because Boo all of a sudden starts getting absolutely walloped by a guy who looks like a combination of Kelly and Bobby.
Oh, I think I remember what this is. It took you pointing that out for me to realize that, because I did not notice that my first time reading.
He is absolutely just a fusion of those two. And they pointed out, but it's like, how does that work? I guess it could be a devil fruit, but how?
Yeah, I think I remember.
So I don't quite get that. And he like with the hat and the face, he's definitely going full gangster mode in that look. He's like, especially because you're like, call me a shrimp again and I'll rip your throat out, wise guy. And it's like, okay, that's very mafia coded.
Capiche?
Meanwhile, Luffy's in a bit of trouble because Jean the thief here, Jean the bandit, has stolen Lucy's helmet. So he quickly puts back on his bowler hat and / straw hat and wraps up his face so people can't see him as much. Mm-hmm. And he's just like, I've heard some curious rumors, Lucy, that Straw Hat Luffy is the pirate worth 400 million. It slipped his way into this tournament. And
that, of course, does not please Don Jinzhao.
No, he is rushing towards something. It's like, you're going to see what happens to your grandson. And we've got it confirmed. There's only about 40 survivors left, down to a select group who will emerge the winner. So we have like these very distinct personalities all fighting it out, and I have no idea how. Well, I know Luffy's going to win, but how the heck who's going to be the final challenge? Is it Don Jinzhao? Is it somebody else? I don't know.
Yeah. Dante Zhao definitely seems like he's being built up as like the strongest threat. I don't know. He's the one with Supreme King Haki, so like, it feels like he makes the most sense as maybe the only one who could really stand up to Luffy. But I definitely don't remember quite how this goes. So
yeah, I don't.
I'm
man surprised if this goes longer than 2 chapters though.
Yeah. We're probably I could imagine it not really lasting that much longer.
Yeah. I will say it does feel like Oda slipped into, we might be slipping into a pattern potentially where it's like, okay, here's block C, here's block D. Meanwhile, in between those, we're going to show what's going on with the other Straw Hats and what's going on in the wide world and just slip into that pattern.
That makes sense.
But don't break up the actual fight. Keep the fighting focus so you have some action going on at all times.
Yeah, which I guess is sort of an interesting pattern, right? Because like I guess when you think about how One Piece arcs are usually structured, it's like, you know, like usually kind of like the other Straw Hats are usually involved in the action to some degree. But now here we have everybody else running around and it's really just like Luffy doing the fighting.
I love how the tournament's being used as a distraction to keep Luffy out of the main plot line.
Out of the main plot, right? Yeah.
Even though he's still very much in the main plot, as far as like this is part of the plan.
I think it helps that the stakes are so personal with the flame fruit. Yeah. I think that's kind of the perfect thing to keep him there.
I'm down.
Yeah.
This is such a great set. This is such a fun
this arc is awesome.
My God, it
I
really
does.
How
fun it is.
It really does feel like we're back in Water 7 and Marineford territory.
Marineford, yeah, definitely. As we pointed out before, kind of Alabasta vibes too.
Yeah, like
it is
greatest hits combination.
Exactly. Yeah, this is a One Piece arc. For sure.
We do have an SBS before we end off things, though, and apparently it's more than just the Arab influence for Abdullah and Jeet. They're inspired by wrestlers.
Yeah, which I feel like with all the other fighters going on, that Oda chose them to be inspired by wrestlers is really funny.
The greatest heels who ever menaced the ring, the Butcher and Jeet Singh. Okay. And even Idea the Boxer is based on Ideon. the guy with the shoulders was old robot anime.
Yeah. The fun thing about Ideon is that it is what they actually I don't remember just directly before. It's the director of the original Gundam.
Oh, okay.
And I think Ideon. Oh God, I'm getting my timelines mixed up. It was either like right before or right after he directed the original Gundam. I want to say after because I think Ideon was like 1980, maybe 81. And it is most notable for the creator of Gundam loves his dark endings.
Oh,
so Ideon is on the darker end.
Oh no,
from what I've heard. Yeah. He loves to break people.
Oh. Well, it was the very first plastic model Oda got as a kid, so there's that.
That tracks.
I see shoulders like that though, and my mind immediately goes to Big O. That's what I associate it with.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, I could see the Big O vibes.
But yeah, that is that set, and good God,
this is a long one.
Yep.
Welcome to Dressrosa.
Welcome to the new norm, apparently. Good God.
I feel like we just got a particularly like bonkers set of reveals and action and interesting lore
and more new characters.
Yeah. As if there weren't enough factions already, we now have the Tontadas to deal with, who are currently trying to stage a coup against the Doflamingo family. And it's I think what is actually helping me this time around, since like my broad feelings about Dressrosa, at least the first time I read it weekly, was just how confusing it was. But I really appreciate this time around, like Oda is doing his best to kind of signpost how and where and when all of the various subplots kind of all converge, and the tournament is kind of a really good anchor because it is so siloed from everything else that's happening. But with all the other characters moving around, we have like, okay, everybody's trying to go to the flower field, for example. Like that is we don't know what it looks like or where it is, but like we have kind of a converging point where like everybody's trying to get to.
Yeah. I don't feel confused about where everybody is.
Yeah, I don't either.
good on him, because this might be the most split up the crew has ever been.
Yeah. When you really break it down and think about it, like this is a crazy ambitious story to tell.
Especially because he's hitting the ground running, and there's so much
and if
we have to go yet.
Dressrosa is many things, and at least for right now, it is not slow.
No,
it is.
No.
It is.
I'm
it
sure
is
it
actually
will slow down at some point, but now is not that time.
Yeah, no. This is. I don't know. This is the kind of storytelling that like I was really missing from like the past 2 arcs. Mm-hmm. It really does.
For sure.
It feels boisterous in a way that the other 2 didn't.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
But I'm still having a ton of fun. That's for sure. And with that, I believe we've said all we've wanted to say about chapters 711 to 715 of One Piece. Thank you so much for listening, and you can find more of my ramblings and stream VODs over at BitNerd Games on YouTube, or simply BitNerd on BlueSky. And Brandon, where can everyone find you at?
I am Brandon Bovia on Twitter and BlueSky, talking about anime, manga, games, and my job. And just follow me for more of that. I'm trying to do all 4 of those things. Haven't talked about games much because I haven't played much lately.
Yeah, I feel you. It's tough.
No time.
Nope. But hey, if you'd like to help us out more, you can support the podcast over at patreon.com/Derrick Bittner. That's DerrickBitner to listen to the next episode ad-free 3 days early, as well as patron-exclusive bonus episodes, which include, turns out, Viz just released Oda's shorts. The stories before before One Piece. Yeah, before One Piece started. So we already talked about Wanted on the show, but Wanted has not Wanted, but Monsters has a direct connection, and the anime to One Piece, but the others do not. So we're going to talk about those, starting with the first 2 of his shorts. I believe it's Wanted and Future Present from God.
Yep.
So that's our bonus right now, so you can check those out. Otherwise, you can make sure to return next time as we discuss chapters 716 to 720 of One Piece. So until then, my friends, bye.
Remember to take life one piece at a time.